Hello, welcome to Hope Ready, a series designed for new students to help you become better acquainted with Hope College. I'm your host, Dr. Ellen. Joining me today is Kristen Bachniak, who's the Associate Dean for Residential Life. Thanks for joining me today, Kristen. I thought that we could have a chat about living on campus and what incoming students can expect from that experience. You want to just talk about some basics of actually living on a college campus, or on our college campus.
Yeah. So I think what's so exciting about Hope is that we are a residential college. So we value people living in community and learning from each other in this context while you're also learning in classes. So there's a whole lot that you can learn outside of the classroom about interacting with people and what you like and what you don't like, and how do you communicate and how do you disagree with somebody that you are friends with. That is a different context when you're living in a place or sharing a bathroom or a hallway with a group of people than you do when you're in class. So I think that's what's unique and exciting and special about living on Hope's campus. I think as a first year student, when I think about what does it mean to start to live with somebody else, I think that you all have, people maybe have moved in their life, but for the majority of you, probably you've lived in the same neighborhood for a really long time. You've been going to the same school. You've been going to the same church. You've been involved in the same sports teams. You've known the people that you're with for a long time. So this might be one of the first times in a long time that you've had to make new friends and negotiate. What does that mean? So I think I just think about that a little bit and kind of expect to be a little uncomfortable and expect to maybe not know how to engage that potentially. So I'd sit with yourself and think about, well, what is that going to mean? How am I going to meet some people? What do I value and how do I articulate that? And know that thing that you've known, it's just going to be different. And all of you are coming in with these things that you've known and these ways that you've been for your 18 plus years of your life. And so now you're all going to come together and you're going to try to live together. And there's going to be some bumps in the road. But it's also really exciting because you're going to get all these new different ideas and perspectives and life experiences. And you get to learn and create relationships with all of those people that you're living with.
It's great. A great foundation to start with. So let's talk a little bit more nuts and bolts when it becomes time for students to learn who they are going to be living with, if it's somebody new that the college is putting them with. What would you suggest to a student who has just received their roommate assignment, finding out who that person is?
Yeah. Okay, so you'll receive an email that tells you that your roommate and your housing assignment will be in your plus.hope.edu account. So that's how you'll get it. So when you get that, what I would recommend is reaching out to that person, reaching out and having a face-to-face or voice-to-voice conversation. So meet up for coffee or do a FaceTime or a Google Meet or a Zoom call or have a phone call. I guess FaceTime, like there's so many ways that you can do it now, whatever, pick your medium. But what I will say is just have a conversation. Don't look on somebody's social media and make assumptions about who they are or what they're going to be like as a roommate. Sit down and have that conversation about, who you are, what you value. We've tried to match people the best that we can with the information that you've given us. But it's not going to be a one-to-one perfect match. So you are going to have a few things that maybe you're not completely in line with, just because we're not all the same people, and that's good and exciting. And sometimes not what you really want in a good roommate. You want to have some different differences there. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is just have a real conversation and don't just look on social media and make some assumptions about what that person is going to be like or what that relationship is going to be like.
I love.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I love that. Like, actually communicate together and don't make assumptions based on what somebody's posting. And in that conversation of getting to know each other, you can also talk about like who's bringing what, right? So that you don't both show up to the room in August with double the amount of stuff that you actually need.
Yep.
So kind of planning those things. And I will just do a redirection to the orientation website. New Student Orientation has a packing list, so you can use that as a guide as you're planning. Yeah.
There are a couple of don't bring things.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's in the packing list too. So no microwaves, no air conditioners. Your fridges have to be a certain size. Yep. Most kind of ones that are for halls will be fine. Most mini fridges will be fine. Nothing with an open coil, so a toaster or things like that. It's really all fire safety related of what our regulations are about what you cannot bring. So just make sure you're noticing that too.
Cool. And go ahead.
I was just thinking about part of that conversation with that new roommate is a little bit of expectation setting too, but you don't need to get too far into that yet. So as you get onto campus and you live with each other like 2 or 3 weeks, we have you do a roommate agreement, and it walks you through like, how are we going to communicate about things that bother us? Are items shared, or do we need to, are these things off limits? How are we going to respect each other when it's early in the morning and late at night? So we have a guide that we help you get through, because the other piece of that is we don't want to do it too early, because you don't even know what to ask. You don't even know what's going to be hard for you, or that you're really going to like, because you haven't been to college yet. So you might know some of those things. And I think a little bit about like, what are your preferences now? And you and your new roommate can talk a little bit about that, but just know that we'll help you kind of guide through a conversation that you're going to agree to. How do we live well together? And that's going to be a couple weeks into the semester, so you get your feet underneath you and you can understand what do I like in college before you're answering those questions.
You made me think of, who are the staff who live in these communities that we have on our campus? So what could a new student expect to find in terms of staff support in a hall?
Yeah, so everybody's going to have an RA and an RD. So an RA is a resident assistant. They're a sophomore and above student that lives on your floor with you. So they're going to be the ones who are going to be your first point of contact. They're going to be a great resource to ask questions. They're going to help you all create community. They're going to step in if there's some kind of conflict or disagreement. They're going to plan programs and different ways for you to engage. And help you build a connection of people where you live. So that's the RA. And then there is an RD. So that's a resident director. They are a non-student who lives in the building and supervises the RAs, and then also does some kind of bigger building community within the whole campus. They're a great kind of resource and just different adult who can have a conversation with you and help you think through some think through some things. They step in if there's different issues that arise that the RA can't handle. It goes to them as the next step. They're going to be somebody that you're going to meet and know, but there's only one of them for your whole building. So make sure you stop and say hi. They totally want to know that, but also there's a lot of you that they're going to need to know and remember. So they're not going to, you will definitely meet them, but they're going to be somebody that you might need to seek out a little bit more than your RA who's going to be living on your floor with you.
Awesome. And between now and when students arrive in August, if there's a question about housing or a concern or something that a student needs to just make known, who should they email?
Yeah. So I would say first look on our website and see if there's any of the information that can be answered for you. So we've got some general stuff up there, like general size of rooms in the halls, general things that are in those buildings. So take a look there. I could tell you each room is going to have a extra large twin bed, dresser, desk, desk, chair, and the ability to make your bed be a normal height, bunk the two beds that are there, or loft it. So you can go up higher and you can like put a couch or things underneath it. So that's going to be in all the rooms. That's a very typical question that we get. There's some kind of window coverings on all of the rooms as well. So typically those are blinds. But those are all the things that will be supplied. Housing at hope.edu is your kind of go-to question asking spot. And so, yeah, if you have kind of some specifics about your building, you can do that. Student development is another number, like a phone number, if you want to actually talk to somebody. That's 616-395-7800. Lots of folks who are in this office can answer general questions about housing, but the specific, like, I'd like to make this change or whatnot, that would be an email to housing@hope.edu would be the best.
Thank you, Kristen, for joining me today. And thank you to all that have tuned in to this video. We want all students to be hope ready.